Hey guys, Andrew Houston here with another podcast with Workshop Secrets for Contractors, where we go into getting tips from the trenches, baby. And today I'm here with Rick. We're in part 2, where we are looking at continuing the conversation of really talking about virtualizing our business. Virtualizing our business in such a way that we can take it to the next level. And on the last podcast we did, we talked about how you can virtualize dispatching your crews. Today, we are going to get heavily into how you can virtualize the office and on the administrative side, so you guys can, again, become innovators, get ahead of the curve, and especially with some of the challenges that we're having in today's world with this coronavirus. Maybe you'll be listening to this and everything will be fine and dandy, but this is a great opportunity to stretch yourselves for change and to, again, really be those contractors that are dominating the market, with new ideas. And Rick, welcome today. So Rick, how you doing, brother?
I'm great, Andrew. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. I see that you're working out of the home. I guess you've been, what's going on with that?
Well, I was out of town. It was 2 weeks ago today. So I did the sensible thing, the social isolation, distancing. So yeah, I've been working from home for the past couple of weeks, and here I am. So after today, I'm right back in there, but carefully back in there.
Well, I'm glad you're safe, and I'm glad you're being smart about it. With that being said, this whole topic of becoming a virtualized, champion CEO, virtualized contracting business has somewhat been forced upon you. Would you say?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we had to, because we're a plumbing service company, so we had to take a step back, introduce some safety measures. Nobody's in the office. The calls are being answered remotely, still by the CSRs and the dispatcher, so they're still answering them remotely. Forwarded the calls, and that's what we're doing. So right now the office sits empty.
I love it. So, Rick, tell us just a little bit, because some people might not listen to the previous podcast about how to virtualize your dispatching. Tell us a little bit about your company and a little bit about the current situation that sort of brought us here.
Well, it's Harris Plumbing started back in 1974 by our father, and he started a business because he needed a job. He didn't intend to start a business. He owned his job for many years until we came on board and started to help him out. And still family owned and operated, and we're doing okay through this whole thing. We're still quite busy. But obviously, with the changes with the virus and everything, we've had to implement some changes just from a safety perspective. So those are not challenges and questions that I have all the answers to, or we have all the answers to. We're kind of figuring it out as we go along, but we're trying.
I think one of the things for those listening in during these challenging times, there's no question that it's not the easiest thing, but I think one thing is, how do we try to get the most out of this? And people might be listening and going, what are you talking about, Andrew? What do you mean getting the most out of this? This is like, this is a really tough time. How the hell can you make the most out of this? I think it's situations like this that sometimes force change that maybe should have happened a long time ago. And I'm all about believing that winners are out to win. And those people with the mindset of winning are the people that are willing to see this as an opportunity. Unless we're going to be going back in the caveman, cavewoman days, if that's your mindset, you probably shouldn't be listening to this podcast, because it's a bunch of bullshit. We've gone through crazy times, Chris. We've gone through, wars, right? So, Rick, how are you? How is your mindset? Just before we get into this, so that we can get people thinking from that openness of change. How do you look at these things as opportunities, these interesting times?
Well, I'm like most people. You look at it with some fear, and it's like, what the hell are we going to do? And the easiest thing when it comes to fear is just to back away from it. And not to say that I'm brave, but the definition of bravery is feeling the fear but still doing it anyhow.
Nice.
So having that fear is perfectly acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. But that's when you have to take a step back, get your head on straight, figure out what you're going to do, look back to what we've been through before, and get right back out there. And I don't know if I'm old enough to remember we went through a recession back in the late 80s, early 90s. And during the 80s, it was like a party, and everything was cruising along just fine. And then somebody decided to rip the needle right across the record, and the music just stopped. Somebody shut the light switch off. So we went from being incredibly busy to going door to door, looking for work. You were lucky to have one call a day, and it was horrible. So we got through that, and but the difficult thing about that is you look back and reflect on it. We didn't do any change. We didn't make any changes back then because we didn't know any better. I was a very young man working for my father, and my brothers were with us, and we said, oh, thank God we got through it. Hope that never happens again. But we didn't prepare for it. We didn't learn from it. This time around, it's like, okay, let's learn from this. We're a lot smarter. We've learned a whole lot more. We put our egos aside, and we figure, okay, let's figure this out. Let's see what we can do to make this better. And the great thing about what we did, it was making it better, but making it more efficient. And making it more efficient means it saves you money, and they're all tied together. We were forced to do this, and I think it's a good thing.
Sorry, go ahead.
Not the virus, but being forced into making yourself better, to making change.
Totally. These are things I want to let everybody know that, on the last podcast, we talked about, virtualizing your dispatching. And I want to be clear with everybody. These are not changes that Rick's looking at, or, the hundreds and hundreds of clients that we have are making, some of these changes that are only because of this virus. These are changes that are going to differentiate you from the competition. They're going to allow you to dominate. They're going to really allow you, in my opinion, through tough times like this is when we have to step it up as leaders. You tell me if I'm right, here, Rick, that we have to, our team, our clients, our suppliers, our family is looking for us to lead. And that doesn't mean, that doesn't mean falling into the trap of like, oh man, there's nothing I can do. Oh, even some of you guys that are listening in going, I don't have much work, or I don't even have any work. This still applies to you. It's, how many times do I hear people, in the space, and we only at Profit Contractors help contractors, right? I'm an extra contractor. We systemize, help contractors systemize their business, get them more profits, get control of their time, their team, their marketing, their sales, top to bottom. But, when you look at this, this time, it's either you're going to use this as an opportunity, right? And I guess what I wanted to say was I hear them all the time saying, I don't have the time. I don't have the time. Well, if you are slow, things have slowed down for you, then there's absolutely no excuses. If you're still busy, then there's absolutely no excuses. I don't know, what's your thoughts on that, Rick?
No, I agree. I mean, we're always saying we don't have enough time. We don't have enough time. And the reality is you have the time. Take advantage of it. It's forcing you to change your habits. And honestly, you got to get it figured out. And the worst thing you can do is sit there and just say, oh my God, when is this going to be over? Wish time away, not learn from it, and then go back to doing the exact same things that you're doing before. That may work okay, but why not take the opportunity to see if they can make it better?
Dude, love what you just said. Totally resonates. I mean, man, and that's you're in the position you're in. I just want to say that. So, I mean, thanks a lot for being on this call today. Let's get right into it because, Rick, that's the mindset, man, that you got to have. And that's why you've been able to make these changes. So, again, this is a little series, guys. Get another podcast after this where we're going to be talking about, the virtual contractor, the next generation contractor, right? In moving your business forward. So let's talk a little bit on the office side of things. So, tell me a little bit about, could you tell us a little bit about, what kinds of things were in place or what did it look like you know, when you had everybody in the office, you know, let's talk about the before, you know, and then we'll talk about the after.
Right. Okay. Well, when the office was open, we had one person answering the phones, two people answering the phones. One would do the scheduling, one would do the dispatch, with some overlap in there. We had some other various people in the office. You know, one would do accounts payable, receivables. The other one would do some office management duties, and then we'd have the team, the plumbers, the technicians, and they would be in the office. Now there's nobody in there. We still do have one person come in, and she's awesome. She does follow-ups, and she does some outbound calls as well. But that's only one person in there. So we've got this fairly large office with a small warehouse attached to it that is not being utilized. And it started to make us think, well, maybe if we're not using it, maybe we don't need it.
Yeah, and let me just pause just for a second, okay? Because I want to make sure we dig deeper into the way it was before. Actually, Rick, I'm just going to have you pause just for a second. Let me just
Sure.
My camera stopped recording, so just a sec.
Yeah, you could have.
This happened the other day. Jordan, you're gonna have to cut this part. It says that the card is full, so this is the second card this happened. It says it's full, yet there's nothing on the card.
Oh, the SD card.
We still got this recording, so this is totally good. Okay, so let's get back to it. So when we look back at it before, so you gave a really good description that you've got certain roles, certain responsibilities. That's a whole nother discussion, how to structure and make sure people know their roles, rules, right? And results that they need to get. But let's focus here on the virtual office. So you've got, you know, this team, 4 people. Is that right?
Yeah, let's say 4 people. Yeah.
Yeah, and then you include yourself. That's 5, right? Again, we're just talking about on the office side of things. So right. You had this. You've got this office right now, and we're going to get to this second. Is that these changes have really made you think about whether or not you even need an office, and we're going to talk about, you know, how it could potentially be saving you $10,000 in expenses every month. But again, we'll just pause that for a second. So you know, everybody would come into the office, right? They got their chairs, they got their tables, they got all that kind of stuff, right, at the office.
Yep, absolutely.
Right. So then when this coronavirus kicks in, we got to try and reduce the amount of engagement with people. So just, you know, because we got to be safe, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So instead of shutting the whole company down, instead of like, cause some contractors are like, that's it, I'm going to shut my company down. You've taken a different approach. So what made you think about putting them virtually, or what made you go, I'm not going to shut down. I'm going to support my clients, and I'm going to support my team. We got to figure this out. What sort of started going through your head?
Well, we looked at it. It didn't happen overnight. There was a lot of, you know, okay, what are we going to do? Stay away from each other. And then as we got further and further into this, it was like, okay, well, let's just take everybody out of the office, and let's put everybody working from home, forward the phones to their phones, and start moving it in that direction. And it took a little bit of time to get it there. I'm saying about a week. And not to say that it's perfect, but it's better than it was. So we move towards that. We move towards getting people working from home. And we talked previously about having the plumbers being dispatched from home. So the office, it's not perfect. I'm not saying that it's a perfect system, but it's better than what we had.
By the way, Rick, there's no perfect system.
No.
Okay. And everybody listening in, get over perfection. It's like one of the worst things that you as a owner need to focus in on. I call it roughing it, right? We'd rather be moving things forward and learning from those things by testing and measuring than just going, okay, that's it, the coronavirus, okay, you know, I call that the loser's game, right? You know, they just give up. They're looking for opportunities to give up. I mean, you didn't do that. So you sat down with the team, right? you communicated to them like, here, we gotta try and see how we can do this virtually. Is that sort of how it went?
Yeah, it was some meetings, some decision making. The service manager, my brother, who took lead on this, and he's the one that said this is what we got to do. And our service manager is awesome. He's worked at very large companies in the past, so he's used to dealing with these types of things. He had the procedures in place. He had everything set to go, and he just said, "This is what we got to do, and this is what's going to happen. We have to protect ourselves. We have to protect the clients."
Okay, so here's what I heard out of that. Your brother took a stand, right? He took a stand on, this is what we're doing. And everybody listening, as leaders, you've got to take a stand on things, okay? If you don't, then you're going to allow all the bullshit, that's going around, as far as, when I say bullshit, I'm not saying that this virus is fake. I'm saying the bullshit of like telling ourselves these stories that, okay, well, that's it, we got to shut everything down. Like, no, you're still moving forward, right?
Yeah, and this is the thing, and I forget where I heard it, but I thoroughly believe in this, is that you cannot allow your clients or your employees to hijack your company.
Oh, wow.
It's your company, and it's company policy. And you develop company policy, and it's got to be legit. It can't be, you can't just arbitrarily tell somebody, I don't want to see your tattoos, put a shirt on, whatever. But there has to be, if you're developing something, there has to be a why behind it. So if you're saying, we're going to dispatch from home, or we're going to shut the office down, this is why we're doing it. So you're making sure that everyone understands the reason behind it, and it's not just because I said so kind of attitude. It's just, this is what it is. This is why we're doing it. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or ask, and we'll get this explained to you properly. But there's always has to be a why. That's
good. So everybody, ask yourself this question if you're listening, whether if this is a year from now, 6 months from now, and this coronavirus is behind us, ask yourself this question. What is the why that you would want to have some form of virtualization? Again, last podcast was on dispatching the crews and dealing with those guys, keeping them busy. But why, what's your why? When you're listening on this, is it that you want to make sure that you support your team? You want to make sure you're helping them put food on the table? Like, really understand the decisions that we're making here, people, when you virtualize things, right? Our customers, right? Rick, the service you do. I mean, skilled tradespeople, we are the backbone, honestly, of the whole economy. What do you say to that?
I thoroughly agree, particularly now. And people will say that, oh, you shouldn't be out there working, whether you're an electrician, HVAC technician, whatever it is you do. We are an essential service. The garbage men are essential service as well. But to make sure that the inner workings of your home continue to function properly, we're an essential service. Without us, there wouldn't be the stuff going on that's going on right now. And you have to get out there and get it out of your head that what you're doing can wait, that it's not that important. You are important to what's going on out there. Okay, hugely important.
Beautiful. So if you haven't got your mindset wrapped around this, guys, yet, hopefully this has helped. Okay, hopefully you're coming on the other side of the fence, like, hey, maybe I can do this, because you can. Okay, so you sat down with the team. Very important point. Your number one step is you explain to them the why factor, right? And honestly, I'm sure your team must appreciate that they're still going to get a paycheck. I don't know.
Absolutely, and they were given options, and these are things that made changes all along the way. Is there were guys coming in that wanted to work, but they were coming in with the wrong mindset. They were just like, I don't really want to be here. I have to work, but I really don't want to be here. So they were given options. You can go to work if you want, or you can pick one of three. So they're given 3 different options of what they could do. And everybody, the guys who said that they wanted to do this, that's what they're doing. The guys who wanted to stay home, they're staying home. The guys who wanted to continue on, they're continuing on. So we gave them lots of choices, and it seems to work out best. So they're controlling what it is they want to do. We're doing everything we can to make Yeah, we're doing everything we can to make sure that they're being safe. The service manager.
Gold, Rick, gold, man,
Yeah,
gold. So,
yeah,
you know, you talk about culture. I mean, it's the definition of culture. I mean, really,
yeah.
you know, allowing your team to pick, not putting them in harm's way, letting them choose what they want to do. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and the three options were, you know, keep working. What was another option?
Keep working, do emergency calls only, or stay home.
Beautiful. There you go. Beautiful. Love it. Okay. So that's that. Let's talk about, you know, on the office staff. So, you know, everybody's got certain roles and responsibilities in your realm. And would you say, you know, virtualizing your company or different aspects of your company, would you say this is applicable to all trades and all sizes, that they could at least look at this?
Yeah, you can look at it definitely. If you're you know, a 3-truck operation or 3-person operation, you can work without an office. It's a no-brainer. You can, if you're a larger company, you may need some office space. There's no doubt about that. Whether you've got 10 people on staff and you've got a few people in the office, say 3 people in the office, then yeah, you're getting to the point where maybe you do need an office. But you can look at different options. You know, if you're a 3-truck company and you're out in the field as the business owner, maybe look into an answering service instead of carrying your phone around in your tool belt and trying to dig it out and answer a call. Maybe look into doing something like that. Even if you're a larger company, look into the outsourcing. Maybe I should outsource. You know, start with your after hours calls if you do after hours work, and then try it out, see how it works. Not every call center that you're going to outsource to is a good one, so you got to make sure that you're going to find the right one. So ask around. So doing all those sorts of things, outsourcing certain aspects of your company, if you look at it, if you don't need that person in the office anymore, if you do have an office, there's a way to save money. And if you don't have to have, it's all about overhead. It all comes down to making sure your overhead is in line. And
okay, good.
Outsource what you can.
So yeah. So, and then, you know, we'll talk about this, the cost of overhead, but think about this for a second. You use simple technology, right? We talked about this on the last call. So everybody listening into this one, if you're watching this as a video podcast, we're using what's called Zoom, ZOOM. I'm not saying it's the end all, the be all. There's tons of things out there. You know, Rick, you talked about doing FaceTime, things of that nature. But the nice thing about the Zoom or technology like Zoom is you can record your calls. So when you're talking with the office staff, when you're having your, you know, team meeting kickoff, say on the Monday, you know, you can record, you know, the conversations. People can go back to it. You know, there's the ability of, you know, if there's any training you want to do through the office staff, you can leverage this from that standpoint. Any of those, yeah, any of those discussions that you had were gold. Like say on an office staff going through policy and procedure or creating new systems, you can still be from at your home. That person can be at their home. You can be moving things forward, systemizing the business, seeing what they're working on. Trello, by the way, guys, is an amazing checklist, Trello. Zoom you can get for free. Trello you can get for free. No excuses. And all that recording, you know, of going through something, procedure can be looked upon as future training instead of doing it all over again. I mean, Rick, like if somebody said to you, you know what, I can't leverage this technology, or I can't learn this stuff. I mean, what would you say to that?
If I can do it, anybody can do it. I mean, it's the technology it's so simple. It's so user friendly. It's such a simple thing to implement. Why wouldn't you try and get out there and do it?
Absolutely.
The technology is super simple. Just go ahead and do it. Try it. If it doesn't work, try something else.
And beautiful. And I think trying is the best thing, because otherwise you're not going to know. But again, try with one step at a time, guys. We said this on the last call. You know, pick an employee. If you've got 4 office staff, 1 office staff, 50 office staff, pick a couple of employees, 1 or 2, that are going to be more receptive to this type of conversation. Get them to, you know, get that easy buy-in, get that easy win. You know, set up so they're understanding that this is not perfect. Like you talked about, Rick, that you're roughing it, that there's going to be things that are going to work, things aren't going to work, right?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely.
And,
if you try it. If it doesn't work, try something else.
Yeah, exactly. So So it's not complicated, everybody. You guys can do this. It's super simple, setting these calls up. And I guess the other perspective is on the hiring side. You know, sometimes we really struggle. Not sometimes. I know in the trades we really struggle in finding people. You know, we talked about being able to find technicians and skilled tradespeople on the last level because, you know, going virtually allows you to expand your geographic territory, allows you to, you know, you could be, you know, part of your interview process could be this, but on the office side, it allows you to, it doesn't matter if somebody's in freaking Boston and you're in Toronto. Am I right? I mean, they could help you.
I mean, this is what people don't understand is when you phone and order up a pizza, do you think there's a pizza call center where their dispatchers are all sitting at a table answering phones? They're not. They're at home. They're on a computer. They're working from their office. They're working from their office at home. They're not in a physical location. So the same thing can be done with your calls. Say you've got this awesome person who answers the phone for you, and they've broken their leg, and they can't get out of the house, or have them work from home. Get them set up with that technology, and they're there. You've solved the problem. They don't have to worry about coming into the office right now because they physically can't. So if you get them working remotely, man, it's so much easier. Because you always talk about we're working remotely, working from home. Now in the trades, there's the opportunity to put that in place because before you, there's no way if you're in the trades, it's like, I can't have people working from home. Now there's certain aspects of your company that can be done by somebody working at home.
Beautiful, man. Beautiful. So I love it. Think about the pedigree of people that you can pick from when you're, you know, when the breadth of area that you're able to pick from is way beyond town or city that you're in. It could be freaking another country. I mean, guys, just to let you know, we got people that are working for us virtually on the office side that are in Brazil, that are all over the place. I mean, it's all about performance, especially office staff. Okay. Okay. So, and then as far as some of the savings, you know, just wrapping this guy up is you've been able to realize that you can, you know, put a significantly smaller office, if not completely eliminating your office. I think you said your overhead on your office is like 10 grand a month or something. Is that true?
I don't know the exact number, but I mean, I always say, you know, even if it's $2,000 a month or $1,000 a month, if there's a way to save that money, save that money. I think because of the size that we are, that we still do need some kind of an office presence, but downsizing and eliminating certain aspects of how that office operates. You may just need a little 500 square foot office. You may not need something big. So it's an opportunity to really step back and look at, you know, where am I spending my money? Where am I wasting my time? You know, you look at just from a time perspective, because we're all about, you know, as contractors, you all want to manage that time and be home for dinner. And it's always funny because, you know, you always get the question, what time will we be home? It's like, I don't know what time I'm going to be home. But if you're working from home, saving that time of traveling to the office, it's massive. So from a time savings, from a convenience perspective, from a money perspective, they all tie together. It's a great opportunity to take a look and see what you're doing right and see what you're doing wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well said. Well said.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're very well said. So look, guys, you know, having a virtual office opens up so many opportunities, so many doors for you. It could expand your geographic region, not just for hiring people. Think about this, you know, Rick, you brought a good point up in the last, you know, Rick, instead of having the size of office you have, you know, say you only need, you know, 25% of that size of office. Who's to say that you couldn't allocate some of that money and expand to a different location so you got two, you know, little offices, half the overhead, and yet now your geographic territory is now expanded.
For sure. And it makes perfect sense. You may have somebody that lives 2 hours away. Well, do you want them coming into your office, your giant office, your big office, or go to a smaller office here and have another small office 2 hours away from where this fantastic individual lives, so that they can still continue working from the company and do it remotely. And I'm not saying I have all the answers of how to do it, but just start thinking about it, because the more you think about it, the more ideas you come up with, and just keep going with it. But yeah, I mean, there's all kinds of things. All kinds of things you can do.
And again, you know, when we're looking at millennials, we're looking at next generation, they really want this type of flexibility. They want to have the ability, you know, every hour at home that they can save instead of being in a bloody car, stressed out in traffic, you know, worried about weather conditions, worried about, you know, oh, Sarah or Jim's got the, you know, got some sort of sick, you know, flu or whatever, is like now it's eliminated, right? And you know, stress has a big impact on people, right? People want a culture that allows them to integrate their personal needs, you know, with with where they're working, right? So that the two actually work together, not against each other, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah,
excellent.
and it's true. And yeah, and it's true. If you want, people feel better if they have some control over what's going on in their life, and if they have some input in what's going on during the course of the workday. So if you work with them and say, we're going to dispatch you from home, what do you think about that? And it relieves so much stress. And you talk about the stress of commuting down to the office. If you don't have that, it's so much better, and it makes it more efficient, so that they know that if they're dispatched from home and they're billing from the time they pull out of from the time they hop in that truck with the key in the ignition, wouldn't that make them feel a whole lot better? No, you're billing, you're clocked in as soon as you hop in that truck.
I totally agree. It's funny, we're doing a full-on in-depth webinar coming up this Friday, and you know, one of the guys, Jay Carter, he's going to be talking about how he's been able to virtually, you know, do sales. He just sold
that's amazing.
a roof job for like 98K virtually, and how his clients love it. How, you know, he's able to give the best presentation possible that the clients love, you know, virtually, without him having to waste a shitload of time driving there or them coming to him, you know, so that when he does go and engage with these people at some point, he's engaging with people that have become a client versus a prospect. Like, what a better way, what a better use of time, right? For everybody.
Yeah, it's massive. Great thinking. Jay's a super smart guy.
Yeah, man, you're super smart, guys. Well, you know, I think we're all smart to allow ourselves to be smart. If we allow this coronavirus or any future challenges to hold us down, fuck that. We are scrappers. We're tradespeople, right? We are entrepreneurs. And if there's any entrepreneur that can get through this, that has the strength, the willpower, right, and the grit to get through this, it's anybody that's willing to have that win-win mindset, and you're one of those people. So Rick, thanks so much for your time today. You know, any last words, Rick?
Go give it, try it. You know, you've got nothing to lose. Just give it a shot, and don't complain. Don't make excuses. Just go do it.
Cool, man. On our next podcast, guys, part 3 of this. This is part 2. We're going to be talking about how to virtualize your material. And we're going to be wrapping all this up on that one where we not just talk about, you know, virtualize your material, but really wrap up the whole virtual contractor, where we're going to just recap on dispatching crews, and recap on virtual office. Again, talk about virtual material locations. Maybe we'll touch a little bit on the sales side of things, and who knows, maybe a little bit on the hiring. And we will see you guys on the flip side. If you're looking for any more information, if you're looking to get some insights and get some one-on-one attention for your business and your specific needs, go to www.profitforcontractors.com. You guys can book in for what's called a chat. I actually call it like a calibration call. And when I say calibration, it's just, you know, calibrating, tweaking, optimizing what you have right now to maximize what you can get in the future. And again, we got lots of great tools. We've talked a lot about team communication and meetings. We have the top 5 money-making meetings there that you guys can get and download for free. You'd be crazy not to get it. And again, thanks, Rick. We'll be talking to Rick again soon. See you guys on the flip side. Keep it real, keep moving forward, and keep being profitable to get your profits to pay for your freedom. Catch you later. Ciao.